The first thing the stranger said to me was, "If you're planning to murder me, you picked a terrible weekend." I stopped halfway through the cabin door. She stood 10 feet away holding a fireplace poker like she knew exactly where to put it if I made one bad move. "Good news," I said. "Murder wasn't on my schedule." "Then why are you breaking into my cabin?" "Your cabin?" She tightened her grip. I raised both hands. "My name's Travis Cole. My car nearly went into a ditch 2 miles back. Highway Patrol closed Route 40. My phone has no signal, and this was the only building with lights." Her eyes narrowed. "That doesn't explain the door. It was unlocked." "I locked it." "Well, either you didn't, or I've developed lock-picking skills from hypothermia." For a second, neither of us moved. Then the wind slammed the door against my shoulder. She lowered the poker. "Close it." "Gladly." I shoved the door shut and leaned against it, breathing hard. Snow covered my jacket, jeans, and probably half my dignity. The woman looked about my age, maybe late 20s. Dark hair pulled back, gray sweater, black jeans, no makeup that I could see. She had the kind of expression that suggested smiling required paperwork. "You're bleeding," she said. I touched my eyebrow. "Tree branch." "Sit down." That sounded suspiciously like an order. It was. I smiled. "You always boss around strangers?" "Only the ones dripping blood on the floor." She disappeared into the bathroom and returned with a first aid kit. "My name's Claire." "Just Claire." "For now." "That's not ominous at all." She pointed at a chair. I sat. Claire cleaned the cut above my eyebrow with considerably less sympathy than I thought the situation deserved. "Ow. You survived." "Barely. You complain a lot. You stab people with alcohol wipes." She almost smiled. "Almost." "So," she said, "what were you doing out here?" "Trying to get to Breckenridge. Friend's wedding." "In this storm?" "The storm wasn't supposed to hit until tonight." "And you trusted the forecast?" I'm beginning to understand my mistake. She taped gauze over the cut. "You?" "Taking a few days away." "From?" "Work." "That bad?" She closed the first aid kit. "Worse." I waited. She didn't elaborate. "Fine." Everybody was allowed secrets. I looked around. One bedroom. One couch. She pointed. I stared at the narrow couch. That thing was built for a 12-year-old. You can sleep on the floor. Suddenly the couch looks luxurious. That finally got a laugh out of her. It surprised me. Not because it was especially loud, but because her entire face changed when she did it. Then the lights went out. Claire looked at me. I looked at Claire. "Please tell me that happens all the time." "No." "Fantastic." She crossed to the window and looked outside. "The generator should have kicked in." "Should have." "It didn't." "Excellent observation, boss." She glanced back. "Boss, you have the tone." "What tone?" "The one that says everyone else is doing everything wrong. And yet you're the one who walked into a blizzard." "Fair." The generator sat in a shed behind the cabin. Claire grabbed a coat. I blocked the door. "No." Her eyebrows rose. "Excuse me. You know where the generator is." "I'll go. And if you can't start it, then you can come outside and tell my frozen corpse what I did wrong." "I'm coming." "You're stubborn." "So are you." "Difference is, I'm charming." "That remains unproven." 5 minutes later, we were fighting through knee-deep snow. Claire knew exactly where the shed was. I got the generator open while she held a flashlight over my shoulder. "Fuel line," I said. "What about it?" "Frozen or clogged." "Can you fix it?" I looked at her. "Do I look like a mechanic?" "You've spent the last 20 minutes acting confident." "That's different from being competent." "Good to know." "Hold the light still." "I am." "You're shining it directly into my eyes." "Maybe I'm testing your adaptability." I laughed. "God, you really are somebody's boss, aren't you?" Claire went strangely quiet. Before I could ask why, the generator coughed. Then started. "Yes." I threw one fist up. Claire actually grinned. "There. Competent." Temporarily. We hurried back toward the cabin. Halfway there, my boot hit ice. My feet disappeared. "Travis." Claire grabbed my arm before I went down, but my weight pulled her forward. I caught her around the waist. For one ridiculous second, we were standing chest to chest in the middle of a blizzard. Her hand was gripping my jacket. Mine was still around her waist. Neither of us moved. "You okay?" I asked. "Yes." "You sure?" "Yes." "You're still holding me." "So are you." I immediately let go. She didn't. Not right away. Then she stepped back. "Come on," she said quietly. Inside, the heat returned 20 minutes later. Claire made coffee while I found canned soup. We ate at the small kitchen table. "So what do you do?" she asked. "Product manager." "Where?" "North Star Dynamics." Her spoon stopped. It was subtle, but I noticed. "You know it." "I've heard of it." "Then you've probably heard we got bought." I did. Whole company's freaking out. Why? New ownership. New CEO coming in Monday. Nobody knows who survives the restructuring. Claire took another bite. "What have you heard about the CEO?" I laughed. "You really want the gossip?" "Very much." "Apparently she's ruthless." "Really?" "Cuts divisions without blinking. Fired 3 executives at her last company in one morning." "That sounds efficient." "That sounds terrifying." "Maybe they deserved it." "See? This is why I'm glad you're not my boss." Claire stared into her coffee. Then she smiled. "What?" "Nothing. That was definitely something." "You're very suspicious, Travis." "I got trapped in a cabin with a woman who threatened me with a fireplace poker. I've earned suspicion." A heavy crack came from outside. We both turned. Then came a tremendous crash. What the hell was that? I grabbed my coat. Claire followed me to the porch. A pine tree had collapsed beneath the snow, directly onto my car. The roof was crushed almost flat. The windshield was gone. I stared at it. Claire stood beside me. "Well," she said. "Don't." I wasn't going to say anything. "You were absolutely going to say something." "I was going to say your trip to Breckenridge appears delayed." I turned toward her. She bit back a smile. "My car just got murdered. By a tree. In cold blood. That tree had been planning it for years." I laughed despite myself. Then I looked at the road. Snow was already swallowing my tire tracks. No car. No signal. No open highway. And according to the radio, the storm was getting worse. Claire folded her arms. "So I guess you're staying." "Looks that way." Her eyes met mine. This time, she didn't look annoyed about it. "Try not to bleed on anything else." I held out my hand. "No promises, Claire." She looked at it, then took it. Her fingers stayed around mine a second longer than necessary. And that was how my weekend changed completely. Not because I got stranded in a blizzard. Not because a tree destroyed my car. But because for the first time since I'd walked through that door, the stranger standing beside me seemed almost pleased that neither of us could leave. I woke up because someone was kicking the couch. Not hard. Just enough to make it impossible to ignore. I opened one eye. Claire stood over me holding 2 mugs. "Morning. What time is it?" 8. "That's illegal." "It's 8 in the morning." "Exactly." She handed me coffee. I sat up and immediately regretted every life choice that had led me to sleeping on that couch. "My spine is filing a complaint." "You snored." "That's slander." "I have evidence." "You recorded me?" "No." "Then your case is weak." Claire took the chair across from me. The power was still on, but the radio said another 12 inches of snow had fallen overnight. Road crews wouldn't reach our area until sometime the next day. Maybe later. I took a drink. "So we're still prisoners." "You're very dramatic." "My car is under a tree." "You mention that often." "I'm grieving." Claire looked toward the window. "Do you have anyone waiting for you?" The question sounded casual. It wasn't. I noticed. "No girlfriend, if that's what you mean." She looked back at me. "I didn't say girlfriend." "You didn't have to." That earned me a small smile. "What happened? With my non-existent girlfriend?" "With the last one." I leaned back. "Her name was Megan. We dated almost 3 years." "That sounds serious." "It was supposed to be." "What changed?" "She got promoted. Started traveling. I started working insane hours. Eventually, we became 2 people scheduling dinner 3 weeks in advance." "That's why you broke up?" "No. We broke up because she met someone else and decided to tell me after they'd already taken a weekend trip together." Claire's expression hardened. "She cheated on you?" "She called it figuring things out." "That's cheating." "Thank you. I also voted for that definition." "How long ago?" 7 months. "And you haven't dated since?" "I've dated." Her eyebrow lifted. "Badly." "That sounds more believable." I pointed at her. "Your turn." "My turn for what?" "Relationship trauma." "I didn't agree to that." "You asked first." Claire looked into her mug. "I was engaged once." That surprised me. "Once. Do people usually do it in batches?" "You know what I mean." She exhaled. "His name was Daniel. We were together 4 years." "What happened?" "He liked the version of me that existed before my career got complicated." "Meaning?" "Meaning he liked ambition until mine started interfering with his." I nodded slowly. He wanted you to shrink. He wanted me to make him feel bigger. That sounds exhausting. It was. Did he cheat? No. Then congratulations. Your ex had one advantage over mine. Claire laughed. There it was again. That change in her. She went from intimidating to dangerously easy to like. I noticed that too. I also noticed I was starting to enjoy making it happen. That was probably not ideal considering we were trapped together. Around 10, someone knocked on the door. Claire and I froze. Please tell me serial killers don't knock. Maybe polite ones do. I opened the door. An older man stood outside wearing a heavy coat and knit cap. Sorry to bother you folks. No problem. I'm Walter. Cabin 2 properties over. Claire joined me. What happened? My wife and I lost heat. Furnace won't stay lit. I saw your generator running. Walter looked embarrassed. She's 72 and has asthma. I'm trying not to let the place get too cold. Claire didn't hesitate. We'll come. I looked at her. We. She stared back. You know more about machines than I do. Based on one generator? You're temporarily competent. I groaned. You're going to use that forever. 10 minutes later, we were following Walter through the snow. His wife, Ruth, sat wrapped in blankets near a space heater powered by a small battery pack. Claire immediately crouched beside her. Do you have enough medication? Ruth nodded. For now. Any difficulty breathing? A little. Claire turned to Walter. If it gets worse, we need emergency services. No signal, he said. I have a satellite emergency beacon in my SUV. I looked at Claire. You have what? She ignored me. Travis, furnace. Yes, boss. Walter's furnace wasn't dead. The intake vent outside was buried. I cleared it while Walter reset the system. 20 minutes later, heat started coming through. Ruth squeezed my hand. You're a lifesaver. I mostly moved snow. Sometimes that's enough. Claire was standing behind her. She looked at me differently after that. Not flirtatious. Just softer. On the walk back, I said, satellite emergency beacon? Claire kept moving. For remote travel. You came prepared. I usually do. Except locking cabin doors. I locked that door. Sure. I did. Whatever helps you sleep. She shoved my shoulder. I stumbled sideways. That was assault. That was correction. Do you manage people for a living? Claire gave me a sideways glance. Why? Because you have a terrifying amount of confidence giving instructions. Maybe I'm naturally gifted. That's exactly what a boss would say. She looked ahead. Tell me about North Star. What about it? You said people are nervous. They are. Are you? I thought about it. Yes. Because you might lose your job? Partly. What's the other part? I shoved my hands into my pockets. I built something there. A product. A team. She waited. We make logistics software for regional hospitals. Nothing glamorous. But when I joined, the product was failing. Customers hated it. Engineering hated sales. Sales hated operations. Everybody blamed everybody. And you fixed it. We fixed it. That wasn't my question. I looked at her. No, I didn't fix it alone. Claire smiled faintly. You always do that. What? Move credit away from yourself. I'm not moving anything. I had good people. And if the new CEO cuts the division, I'll probably tell her she's making a stupid decision. Claire stopped walking. I took 3 more steps before noticing. What? You'd tell the new CEO that? If it's true. To her face. Preferably not while security is nearby. She laughed. I thought you were worried about being fired. I am. That's inconsistent. No. Being scared doesn't mean I keep my mouth shut. Claire studied me for a few seconds. Then she said, Good. I frowned. Good. Good. You are weirdly invested in my upcoming corporate disaster. Maybe I find it entertaining. That's cold. I've been told. Back at the cabin, we made sandwiches. Then Claire noticed something outside. The snowplow route marker. What about it? It's almost covered. So, if snow keeps accumulating, the road crew might miss this turn. That seems bad. It is. She grabbed her coat again. I stared at her. You have a problem. What problem? You see trouble and immediately walk toward it. So do you. I complained first. Very different. We went outside with a shovel and reflective tape. The marker stood near the road, but reaching it meant crossing a steep patch where wind had packed the snow into hard ice. I'll do it, I said. Claire shook her head. You're taller. Hold the pole while I wrap the tape. That sentence made no sense. You know what I mean. I do. but I wanted to criticize your management style. We made it halfway. Then my boot slid. Not a little. Completely. My feet shot out, and I went toward the slope. Travis. I grabbed for anything. Nothing. Claire lunged and caught my wrist. For 1 second, she had me. Then the snow under her gave way too. We both dropped. She hit the ground hard. I managed to twist, digging my knee into packed snow until we stopped. Claire. I'm fine. That sounded fake. I'm fine. She tried to stand. Her face changed immediately. I grabbed her. What? Ankle. Can you put weight on it? She tried. No. Great. It's probably a sprain. Medical degree too? I know what a sprain feels like. Congratulations. I crouched. Get on. She stared at my back. No. Claire. I can walk. You literally just proved you can't. I'm not climbing onto your back. Why? Because. Because you hate accepting help? Silence. I looked over my shoulder. Thought so. Her jaw tightened. You're enjoying this. A little. Travis. Claire. She sighed, then wrapped her arms around my shoulders. I stood carefully. You're heavier than you look. Her hand smacked the back of my head. Ow. Keep walking. Yes, boss. By the time we got inside, her ankle was swelling. I helped her onto the couch. She watched me kneel and loosen her boot. You don't have to do that. I know. I can handle it. I know. Then why are you doing it? I looked up. Because you got hurt grabbing me. That shut her up. I wrapped ice in a towel and placed it over her ankle. Claire leaned back. After a moment, she said, Travis? Yeah. If I hadn't grabbed you, you would have slid another 20 feet. Probably. You could have broken something. Probably. You're very calm about that. I sat on the coffee table across from her. You grabbed me. Her eyes met mine. So I didn't. Neither of us joked after that. For the first time since the storm started, the silence between us wasn't awkward. It was something else. Something I understood perfectly well. And judging by the way Claire kept looking at me, so did she. Then she tried to stand again. I caught her before she made it 2 steps. Seriously? I need water. You could ask. I don't like asking. I noticed. Her arm ended up around my shoulders. Mine went around her waist. Again. This time neither of us pretended not to notice. Claire looked at me. You know, Travis. What? You're much less annoying when you're useful. I smiled. That almost sounded like flirting. It was. I blinked. She didn't look away. No confusion. No mixed signal. No mystery. Claire Bennett was flirting with me. And I liked it. A lot. Before I could answer, the radio behind us crackled loudly. A weather alert cut through the room. The storm system had shifted. The county was extending the road closure another full day. Claire glanced toward the radio, then back at me. Looks like you're stuck with me. I kept my arm around her. Could be worse. Her expression softened. Yeah, she said. It could. By noon, Claire had stopped pretending she could walk normally. That was progress. Not because her ankle was better. Because she finally admitted it wasn't. Sit down, I told her. I am sitting. You were trying to stand. I was adjusting. You were halfway to the kitchen. I wanted coffee. You have a sprained ankle. I also have standards. I handed her the mug. There. Crisis resolved. Claire took it and looked at me over the rim. You're enjoying this too much. I've spent 2 days being ordered around. Let me have my moment. You're terrible with authority. That's why I work in middle management. She laughed. I was getting better at that. Or maybe she was getting worse at hiding it. Either way, the cabin felt different now. Not romantic in some ridiculous movie way. Just easier. We had fallen into a rhythm. I cooked. Claire criticized. I ignored her. She criticized harder. At some point, that became flirting. Around 1, I made grilled cheese and tomato soup. Claire took 1 bite. This is actually good. Actually, I had low expectations. You watched me fix a generator. You kicked it twice. Technical procedure. You swore at it. Advanced procedure. She smiled. Then her phone buzzed. Both of us looked at it. 1 bar. Signal, I said. Claire picked it up quickly. Several messages loaded at once. Her expression changed. Not scared. Focused. The version of Claire I'd seen when Walter needed help. She read for almost a minute. Everything okay? Yes. That sounded very corporate. She looked at me. Corporate. Short answer. No details. Slightly terrifying face. My face is terrifying. Professionally. She turned the phone over. It's work. Your terrible job? My former terrible job. You said you quit. I did. But they're still calling you? People have trouble accepting boundaries. That I believe. She looked like she wanted to say more. Then didn't. I noticed. I didn't push. Instead, I picked up my bowl. If you need privacy, I can go sit in the bathroom. That's your solution? Only room with a door. You're not going anywhere. The words came out quickly. Claire paused. I looked at her. She looked back. Then she said, more carefully, I mean, you don't need to. I know what you meant. Do you? Yeah. Her eyes narrowed. You sound very confident. You're not subtle. I'm extremely subtle. You asked if I had a girlfriend before you asked what I did for work. That was conversation. You told me I looked better when useful. Observation. You're keeping me in the room. Practicality. I leaned forward. Claire. What? You're flirting with me. She held my gaze. Yes. No hesitation. Good. I liked that about her. I liked it more than I should have. I put my bowl down. I'm not imagining this. No. You're interested? Yes. Okay. Her mouth curved. That's all you have. I'm processing. You seemed smarter yesterday. I'm trapped in a cabin with an attractive woman who threatens people with fireplace tools. Give me a second. That got another laugh. Then she tilted her head. Do you think I'm attractive? You know I do. I wanted to hear you say it. Dangerous habit. Why? Because you already enjoy winning too much. Claire set her mug aside. Then don't let me win easily. That landed harder than she probably intended. Or maybe exactly as hard. I looked away first. Not because I didn't understand. Because I did. Too clearly. 7 months ago, I'd been planning a future with someone who had already started building one without me. I wasn't confused about Claire. That wasn't the problem. The problem was that I wanted to believe her. And wanting something that quickly made me nervous. Claire saw the shift. What happened? Nothing. That's a lie. See? Boss. Travis. I sighed. I like you. Her expression didn't change much. But her eyes did. I know. Of course you do. You're not subtle either. Apparently we're both terrible at this. No. I think we're doing fine. I rubbed my thumb along the edge of the table. I just don't want 3 days in a snowstorm to turn into something we regret when real life starts again. Claire was quiet. Then she nodded. That's fair. I looked at her, surprised. You're not going to argue? I can if you want. No. I'm not asking you to promise me anything. She shifted carefully on the couch. I'm not asking what this is going to look like 6 months from now. Good. I'm asking whether you're going to spend the rest of today pretending you don't want to sit closer to me. I stared at her. That's aggressive. That wasn't an answer. I moved from the chair to the other end of the couch. Claire looked at the space between us. Coward. I laughed. My shoulder is touching yours. Barely. You're injured. I'm respecting medical boundaries. You're ridiculous. She leaned into me. Problem solved. We stayed that way for a while, listening to the weather report repeat itself. At some point, Claire asked, what did you want to be when you were a kid? Baseball player. What happened? I discovered talent was apparently required. She smiled. You? Attorney. You became one. No. Why not? My father said lawyers argue for a living, and I already did that for free. That sounds like a father who knows you. He does. You close. Claire hesitated. Complicated. I didn't ask more. Instead I said, you know, for someone who hates questions, you ask a lot of them. I'm interested. In people. In you. There it was again. Direct. Simple. No game. I turned toward her. Claire was already looking at me. Can I kiss you? I asked. Her eyebrow rose. You're asking? I'm trying to be civilized. You broke into my cabin. Still debating ownership. Travis. Claire. Yes. I kissed her. It wasn't dramatic. No thunder. No ridiculous speech. Just her hand catching the front of my sweater and pulling me a little closer. Then a little closer again. When we separated, she didn't let go. You hesitated, she said. I was trying not to crush your ankle. Good answer. True answer. She smiled. Then kissed me this time. That lasted longer. When she pulled back, I rested my forehead against hers. So, I'm officially concerned about Monday. Why? Because now I have to leave. Her smile faded slightly. I know. And we go back to normal. Do we? I looked at her. You tell me. Claire thought for a moment. I don't know what normal is yet. Fair. But I don't want this to become one of those things people pretend didn't happen. Neither do I. Good. That evening, the county radio finally announced that crews expected to reopen the main road by morning. Claire's SUV had been parked under the cabin's side shelter, untouched by falling trees. My car was still a very expensive snow ornament. We packed what we could. The mood shifted. Not sad exactly. More like both of us had suddenly remembered clocks existed. At the door the next morning, Claire handed me the spare key to her SUV. I'll drive you into town. You trust me in your car? No. Great. But your transportation options are limited. I pointed toward my crushed Subaru. He had a good life. He was 6 years old. He was in his prime. Claire shook her head. Before we left, I realized one glove was missing. You seen my left glove? No. I checked the couch. Nothing. Seriously? Claire was already walking toward the SUV. You can buy another pair. Those were good gloves. You complain a lot. You steal things. She stopped, slowly turned, then pulled my glove from her coat pocket. I stared at her. You did steal it. I'm borrowing it. For what? She tucked it back into her pocket. So you have a reason to see me again. There was no teasing in her voice this time. I smiled. You could just give me your number. That would be easier. And I don't always like easy. I stepped closer. I noticed. She looked up at me. Then come get your glove. I will. Good. A few hours later, Claire dropped me at a rental car office in Denver. We exchanged numbers. One more kiss. Then she drove away. I watched the SUV disappear into traffic and knew exactly what had happened between us. I liked her. She liked me. And if I saw her again, I intended to find out where that went. No confusion. No denial. Just terrible timing. That evening, after finally getting home, I opened my laptop. 17 unread work emails. The newest one was marked urgent. Mandatory all hands, Monday, 8 a.m. Below it, Northstar Dynamics will formally introduce its new CEO and restructuring leadership team. Attendance required. I leaned back in my chair. Perfect. My phone buzzed. Claire. Home safe? I typed back. Yeah. Apparently I get to meet my terrifying new boss Monday. 3 dots appeared. Then disappeared. Then appeared again. Finally. Try not to insult her in the first 5 minutes. I smiled. No promises. Claire responded almost immediately. That's what worries me. I laughed and closed the laptop. At that moment, I thought Monday's biggest problem would be surviving a corporate restructuring. I had no idea the woman running it already had one of my gloves in her pocket. Monday morning, Northstar felt like a funeral with better coffee. Nobody said that out loud. They didn't have to. By 7:45, every conference room was full. Every manager had suddenly remembered how to wear a blazer, and half the office was pretending not to refresh LinkedIn. My friend Jason leaned over the wall of my cubicle. You hear anything? About our incoming executioner. I looked up, still calling her that. 3 directors gone at Beaumont Systems in 1 quarter. Maybe they deserved it. Jason stared at me. That is exactly what a person with another job offer says. I don't have another job offer. Then stop being calm. I'm not calm. You look calm. I'm dead inside. That's better. My phone buzzed. A text from Claire. Big day? I smiled before I could stop myself. Apparently. New CEO arrives in 15 minutes. Her reply came fast. Try to behave. I typed. No promises. You free tonight? I want my glove back. 3 dots appeared. Maybe. Survive your meeting first. Jason was watching me. What? That face. What face? The one guys make when a woman texts them. I don't have a face. You absolutely have a face. I locked my phone. Mind your business. Oh, this is serious. It's 3 days old. Still counts. It doesn't. Did you kiss her? I stood. Meeting. Jason grinned. That means yes. At 8 o'clock, nearly 200 employees packed into the main auditorium. I took a seat near the aisle. Jason sat beside me. Our COO, Martin Keller, walked onto the stage. Thank you for coming in early. Nobody laughed. Martin forced a smile. As you know, Northstar's acquisition was finalized Friday. Today, we welcome the executive who will lead our next phase. Jason whispered, Here comes death. Martin continued. She previously served as Chief Operating Officer at Beaumont Systems, where she oversaw their national expansion and restructuring. Something in my stomach tightened. No, that was impossible. Martin looked toward the side door. Please welcome our new CEO, Claire Bennett. The door opened. Claire walked in. Dark suit. Hair down. No gray sweater. No borrowed cabin socks. No fireplace poker. She looked exactly like the kind of woman who could fire 3 executives before lunch. Jason whispered, "Oh, damn." I said nothing. Claire stepped onto the stage. Then she saw me. She stopped. Only for half a second. But I caught it. So did she. Her expression stayed professional. Mostly. Then one corner of her mouth moved. Jason turned. "Why is the CEO looking at you?" "She's not." "She absolutely is." Claire took the microphone. "Good morning." The room went silent. "I know many of you have questions." Someone behind me muttered, "That's one word for it." Claire continued, "You want to know who's staying, which projects survive, whether your teams will be combined, cut, or reorganized. No corporate theater. No inspirational nonsense. Just straight to it." I recognized that immediately. Same woman from the cabin. Different uniform. "I won't insult you by pretending there will be no changes," she said. "There will." A few people shifted. "But I also won't make decisions based on PowerPoints created by people who haven't spoken to customers in 5 years." That got attention. Claire looked across the room. "If your work creates value, I want to understand it. If it doesn't, I want to understand why before we kill it." Jason leaned toward me. "Okay, I hate that I like her." I almost laughed. Then Claire said, "Department heads will meet with me individually this week." Her gaze found mine again. "And some of you may find those conversations unexpectedly familiar." My pulse jumped. Jason slowly turned his head. "Dude, don't. You know her." "Quiet. You know the new CEO?" "Jason." His eyes widened. "Oh my God." Claire finished 20 minutes later. The second she stepped down, people swarmed Martin and HR. I headed for the exit. Not because I wanted to avoid Claire. Because I needed 30 seconds to figure out what the hell I was going to say. I made it to the hallway. "Travis." I stopped. Of course. I turned. Claire stood behind me. 2 senior directors passed us. She waited until they were gone. Then she held up my glove. "Miss me?" I stared at her. "You have got to be kidding me." She smiled. "There he is." "You're the CEO?" "Yes." "Of my company?" "Yes." "The company I spent 3 days complaining about." "Extensively." "You asked me what I thought of the new CEO." "I did. I called you terrifying. You also said you'd tell me if I made a stupid decision." "That conversation feels very different now." Claire folded her arms. "Does it?" "Yes." "Why?" "Because I kissed my boss." Her expression softened. "You kissed Claire." "Claire is my boss." "She wasn't when you kissed her." "That feels legally important." She laughed. I lowered my voice. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Tell you what?" "That you were taking over North Star." "At what point?" I opened my mouth. She continued. "Before or after you walked into the cabin bleeding?" "Fair." "While we were fixing the generator?" "Less fair." "After you told me your new CEO was probably a corporate sociopath?" "I didn't say sociopath." "You implied it creatively." I rubbed the back of my neck. "You could have said something." "I could have." "Why didn't you?" Claire's smile disappeared. "Because for 3 days, you talked to me like I was just Claire." I looked at her. She continued. "You argued with me, mocked me, told me when I was wrong. I do that with everyone." "I know. And that's appealing?" "More than you think." I exhaled. "This is messy." "Yes." "You're not worried?" "I'm concerned." That sounded very CEO. "Fine. I'm very concerned." "Better." She stepped closer. "But I'm not going to pretend the cabin didn't happen." "Neither am I." "Good." I met her eyes. "I know you like me, Claire." She didn't flinch. "I do. And I like you." "I know. But this changes things." "Yes." "If I get promoted, people talk." "Yes." "If I get fired, people talk." "Yes." "If we date." "They definitely talk." "Exactly." Claire nodded. "Then we handle it correctly." "How?" "I recuse myself from decisions directly affecting your compensation, promotion, or performance review." "You already thought about this?" "I've had 3 days." "You knew 3 days ago." She gave me a look. "I knew who I was, Travis." "Right." "Stupid question." "Very." I leaned against the wall. "I don't want special treatment." "You won't get it." "I mean that." "So do I." "And if my division deserves cuts?" I cut it. That answer hit harder than I expected. Not because it hurt. Because I believed her. "Okay." Claire studied me. "Okay what?" "Okay. I'm not running. Something warm crossed her face. Good. But we need boundaries. Agreed. No surprise visits to my desk with stolen clothing. She held up the glove. This is borrowed. Evidence says otherwise. A voice interrupted. Claire. Martin Keller approached. He looked between us. Too carefully. Board call in 5. Claire's expression changed instantly. CEO again. I'll be there. Martin didn't leave. His eyes landed on me. Travis. Morning, Martin. He nodded, then walked away. I watched him go. He knows something. Claire glanced after him. He notices everything. That seems inconvenient. It often is. She handed me the glove. I took it. So dinner. Claire smiled. If today doesn't explode. Corporate romance. Very reassuring. Travis. Yeah. Don't make me regret this. I looked at her. I was about to say the same thing. For the next 4 hours, I actually worked. Or tried to. By noon, everyone knew restructuring meetings had started. At 12:17, Jason dropped into the chair beside my desk. You slept with her? No. Kissed. I stared at him. You said nothing. You have terrible boundaries. Did you? Yes. Jason covered his face. We're dead. Who's we? I'm standing too close to you. They'll take me down as collateral. Go away. Before he could answer, my email chimed. Urgent, product division review. Jason read over my shoulder. See? Death. Get off my desk. I opened the attachment, then stopped smiling. North Star's board had demanded immediate cost reductions. 3 product groups were flagged. Mine was first. Estimated reduction. 42 positions. Jason went quiet. That's us. Yeah. My phone rang. Claire. I answered. Hey. Her voice was completely different from the cabin. Controlled. Come to conference room 12. How bad? A pause. Bad. I stood. When I entered 12, Claire was there with Martin, HR, finance, and 2 board representatives on video. A spreadsheet covered the screen. My product line was highlighted in red. One board member spoke. Hospital logistics is underperforming against projected margin. We recommend full consolidation. I looked at Claire. She looked back. No rescue. No secret signal. Exactly what I had asked for. Then Martin said, if approved, Travis's entire team is dissolved Friday. 42 people. My people. Claire folded her hands. Travis. I met her eyes. She wasn't asking whether I wanted saving. She was asking whether I could defend the work. So I pulled out a chair. Give me 48 hours. The board member frowned. For what? To prove cutting this team will cost you more than keeping it. Claire didn't smile, but I saw recognition in her eyes. The stranger from the cabin was gone. My new boss leaned forward. You have 36. And just like that, our first real fight began. 36 hours sounds generous until 42 jobs are attached to it. By 1 p.m., my team was in conference room 7 with laptops open and panic written across every face. Jason shut the door. So, nobody answered. He looked at me. You want to tell them? Or should I? I will. I stood at the front of the room. The board wants to consolidate our division. Silence. Then Melissa from Customer Success said, consolidate means fire us. Some of us, yes. How many? All 42 positions are on the table. Someone swore. Someone else immediately asked, when? Friday if we don't change the recommendation. Jason leaned against the wall. And we have 36 hours. That got a few bitter laughs. Melissa stared at me. Why are you still here? What? If they're killing the whole group, why are you acting like there's something to do? Because there is. I pulled up our customer retention data. The board thinks our margin is weak because they're looking at this quarter. Because this quarter is bad, Jason said. It is. But they're ignoring implementation contracts that start next quarter. A software engineer named Eric shook his head. Those aren't guaranteed. 6 are signed. That stopped him. I clicked again. Mercy West expands in September. St. Vincent goes statewide in October. Banner Ridge signed Friday. Melissa sat forward. Banner Ridge signed. Legal approved it this morning. Jason looked at me. You knew? I found out 12 minutes ago. So what's the play? We prove closing us now creates breach penalties, forces migration costs, and risks losing 11 hospitals already under renewal. Eric nodded slowly. That could work. It has to. For the next 9 hours, nobody went home. Finance models, customer calls, support tickets. Contract clauses. We built the case piece by piece. At 9:30, Claire appeared at the conference room door. Nobody spoke. Her presence had that effect now. She looked at the whiteboards. Then at me. You've eaten? Jason muttered. Is that a CEO question or a girlfriend question? Every head turned toward him. He closed his eyes. I should not have said that. Claire's expression didn't move. Jason, correct? Yes. Go get food for everyone. He stood immediately. Absolutely. I stared at him as he escaped. Coward. Claire stepped inside after the door shut. Melissa glanced between us. The rumors had clearly started already. Claire noticed that too. I'm here for the numbers, she said. Not me. The numbers. Good. I handed her a printed summary. She read the first page. This assumes an 83% renewal rate. Current renewal intent is 87. Intent isn't revenue. I know. Then don't build your case on optimistic assumptions. I felt half the room tense. I didn't. Fine. Use 78. Claire looked up. That hurts your model. But it survives. She flipped pages. Migration costs. Verified by operations. Implementation penalties. Legal confirmed. Customer churn projection. Conservative. She stopped at the final page. Then set it down. This isn't enough yet. Melissa looked devastated. I said, why? You're proving the division shouldn't be killed. That's the assignment. No. You also need to prove why this team should run it. I understood immediately. The board can keep the product and replace us. Exactly. Eric groaned. Claire looked around the room. You have a good defense. Build an offense. Then she left. Jason returned carrying pizza. He watched the door close behind her. Well, I grabbed a marker. She's right. Melissa sighed. I hate that sentence. So do I. We started again. By midnight, we had something better. Our team had reduced hospital onboarding time by 31% in 8 months. Support escalations were down. Client retention improved. More importantly, 3 competitors had tried outsourcing implementations and lost major contracts because hospital systems hated switching teams halfway through deployment. That was our leverage. At 2 a.m., Claire texted me. Still there? I replied. Yes. Need anything? I looked around the room. People were asleep against walls, drinking terrible coffee, arguing over spreadsheets. I typed, for you not to save me. Her response took longer. I won't. Then another message appeared. But I'm allowed to want you to win. I stared at that longer than I should have. Then I wrote, that I can live with. The next morning, the presentation started at 9. Board members joined remotely. Martin sat beside Claire. I stood alone at the front. No special introduction. No protection. Exactly how I wanted it. I walked them through the contracts first, then the customer risks, then the operational costs. One board member interrupted. You're asking us to preserve 42 salaries based on future revenue. No, I said. I'm asking you not to spend $18 million creating a problem you'll have to spend $26 million fixing. Martin looked down to hide a smile. The board member didn't. Confident. Prepared. I moved to the next slide. For 45 minutes, they attacked every assumption. I answered what I knew, admitted what I didn't, refused to inflate numbers. At the end, nobody spoke. Then Claire said, my recommendation is to keep the division intact for 2 quarters with specific revenue and implementation targets. The board member frowned. You support his proposal? I support the data. That mattered. To me, more than I expected. The vote came 20 minutes later. We survived. Not permanently, but we survived. When I got back upstairs, my team cheered. Jason grabbed my shoulders. You beautiful, stubborn bastard. Get off me. Melissa hugged me anyway. For about 10 minutes, it felt like we had won something clean. Then HR called me. Not Claire. HR. That was the first sign something was wrong. The second was when I walked into the office and saw Martin already sitting there. The HR director closed the door. Travis, we received a formal complaint. My stomach dropped. About what? She slid a printed email across the desk. The subject line read, Conflict of interest, executive misconduct. I read the first paragraph. Then the second. Someone had reported that Claire and I had spent 3 nights alone together before her first day as CEO. That we had a romantic relationship. That my team had just avoided elimination under her recommendation. The email ended with one sentence. Any decision involving Travis Cole is compromised by the CEO's personal interest in him. Martin watched my face. Who sent this? I asked. Anonymous. I laughed once. Of course. The HR director continued. Until we review this, you may be placed on administrative leave. I looked at her. Do it. Martin frowned. Travis. No. I pushed the paper back. If I fight suspension while Claire's the CEO, it looks worse. You understand this could damage your career. I understand exactly what it looks like. The door opened. Claire stepped in. She'd clearly just been told. Her eyes went to the complaint, then to me. No. I knew that tone. Not CEO. Claire. I stood. Don't. Her jaw tightened. They're not suspending you over anonymous gossip. They might. I can stop it. That's exactly why you can't. The room went silent. Claire stared at me. I lowered my voice. If you use your position to protect me now, then every line in that complaint becomes believable. Her anger shifted. Not gone. Just controlled. You're asking me to stand here and let them remove you. I'm asking you to trust me. That hit her. I saw it. After a long moment, Claire stepped back. Then she looked at HR. I'm recusing myself from the investigation. The director nodded. Understood. Claire turned toward me. This better be worth it. I held her gaze. It will be. 10 minutes later, my access badge was temporarily disabled. By noon, half the office knew. By 2, the rumor had mutated into something uglier. I hadn't saved my division. I'd slept with the CEO. And apparently, that was the only reason 42 people still had jobs. By Wednesday morning, I had learned something important about administrative leave. It sounds relaxing. It isn't. At 8:12, Jason texted me. Office rumor update. Apparently you seduced Claire during a corporate retreat. I replied. There was no corporate retreat. I know. Also now you apparently own a cabin. I don't own the cabin. Rumors say you do. Rumors also say I slept with her. A pause. Did you? Jason. Just establishing facts. I threw my phone onto the couch. 10 seconds later, it rang. Claire. I stared at her name before answering. Hey. Open your door. I sat up. What? Your door, Travis. I crossed my apartment and opened it. Claire stood there holding 2 coffees. You know phones exist for conversations, right? I tried that. You said 4 words. You were being annoying. Good morning to you too. She walked past me. I shut the door. You're supposed to be running a company. It's 7:45. It's 8:12. She checked her watch. Fine. I'm supposed to be running a company. She handed me coffee. I took it, then noticed her expression. What happened? You. Specific. You volunteered for suspension. I agreed to a standard investigation. You practically helped them disable your badge. Would you prefer I hide under your desk? I'd prefer you stop treating yourself like evidence. I leaned against the kitchen counter. Claire. No. You wanted boundaries. I agreed. You wanted me recused. I agreed. But you're taking this so far that you're acting like knowing me is something you need to apologize for. That's not what I'm doing. It feels like it. I looked at her. She was angry. Not because I doubted her feelings. I didn't. Not because I doubted mine either. That was the problem. I'm protecting my career. And pushing me away. I'm not. You didn't answer my text last night. I was pissed off. At me? At everything. You could have said that. I'm saying it now. Claire folded her arms. Then say the rest. I knew exactly what she meant. So I did. I want this. Her expression changed. You and me? I continued. I know what happened in that cabin wasn't nothing. I know you're not playing with me. Okay. But if I let you step in now, nobody will ever believe I earned anything here. You think I don't understand that? I think you're used to fixing problems. Her eyes narrowed. And I can't be one of them. Silence. Then Claire put down her coffee. You're right. I hadn't expected that. She continued. I do fix things. Sometimes before people ask me to. Sometimes. Don't ruin the moment. I smiled despite myself. She stepped closer. But there's something you're getting wrong. What? I don't want to save you. I waited. I want to stand beside you while you save yourself. That one got through. I looked down at my coffee. Damn. What? That was good. I know. Did you practice it? No. Sounds practiced. She shoved my shoulder. I caught her wrist. For a second, neither of us moved. Then I pulled her closer and kissed her. No hesitation this time. When we separated, Claire rested a hand against my chest. Does that violate your boundaries? Probably several. Should I leave? No. Good. My phone rang. Martin. I answered. Hey. Travis, we found something. Claire immediately stepped away. What? The complaint included internal financial information. So some of it wasn't publicly available, and it wasn't accessible to your department. I straightened. Who had access? Executive finance, corporate strategy, and senior operations. Claire heard him. Her expression hardened. Martin continued. There's more. The complaint claims Claire personally altered your division forecast. She didn't. We know. How? Because the file history shows someone else edited a copy, then attached Claire's name to it. I looked at Claire. Who? We're tracing it. When? Come in at 11. HR approved temporary access for the interview. I'll be there. I hung up. Claire was already reaching for her coat. No. She stopped. What? You're recused. Travis. You wanted to stand beside me? Yes. Then let me do this part. She stared at me for a long moment. Finally, she nodded. Fine. At 11, Martin met me downstairs. No badge. No desk. Straight to legal. They showed me the altered spreadsheet. Someone had changed our projected renewal rate from 78% to 96%. Then inserted a comment. Per C, Bennett direction. I laughed. That's not even how Claire talks. The attorney looked up. What do you mean? She'd write unsupported assumption and make you redo the whole model. Martin almost smiled. The attorney didn't. We traced the file to an executive account. Whose? Before she could answer, the conference room door opened. Eric from my team walked in. He looked terrified. Sorry. I stood. What are you doing here? Eric swallowed. I know who started the rumor. Martin shut the door. Eric placed his laptop on the table. Last month, Victor Hale asked me to pull customer churn data. Victor, Senior Vice President of Corporate Strategy. One of the loudest voices pushing to kill my division. Why? He said it was for acquisition modeling. And he told me to exclude 3 hospital renewals. My stomach tightened. Why would he do that? Eric opened an email chain. Because his consolidation plan only works if our division looks worse than it is. Martin leaned closer. There it was. Victor had recommended outsourcing our implementation work to Meridian Solutions, the same company scheduled to receive a multi-million-dollar transition contract if our team was eliminated. I scrolled farther, then stopped. A disclosure form showed Victor owned shares in a private investment fund. That fund held a major stake in Meridian. This isn't about me, I said. Martin nodded. No. He wanted the division dead. And when your presentation stopped it, he needed another way to discredit the decision. Eric looked sick. There's more. He opened another folder. Messages. Internal ones. Victor telling an assistant to gather security logs from the weekend Claire arrived. Victor asking whether anyone knew where she had been during the storm. Victor discovering my name. Then one final message. If Cole's relationship with Bennett becomes the story, nobody examines the numbers. I stared at the screen. There it was. Not gossip. Strategy. Martin said, legal can handle this. I shook my head. No. Travis. He attacked my team in front of the board using false numbers. Yes. So the correction happens in front of the board. That's not your decision. The conference room monitor suddenly lit up. A calendar notification. Board review, 2 p.m. Victor Hale was presenting his revised consolidation proposal. In less than 3 hours. I closed Eric's laptop. Martin looked at me. What are you doing? I picked it up. Going to the meeting. You're suspended. Then escort me out afterward. Travis. I headed for the door. Behind me, Eric said, what if they won't let you speak? I looked back at him. Then I'll make sure Victor does. At 1:58, I walked onto the executive floor carrying the evidence that could destroy a senior vice president. And for the first time since Claire became my boss, I wasn't worried about whether she could protect me. I was about to prove she never needed to. At 2:01, Martin caught up with me outside the boardroom. You cannot just walk in there. Watch me. You're on administrative leave. You invited me into the building. For an HR interview. Which went extremely well. That is not how investigations work. I reached for the door. Martin caught my arm. Travis. I stopped. He lowered his voice. If you go in angry, Victor wins. I'm not angry. You look angry. I'm furious. Different thing. That is literally worse. I took a breath. He was right. I hated that. Fine. What's your plan? Let him present. Martin stared at me. That's your plan. Most of it. That's a terrible plan. Trust me. I barely know you. Then trust the evidence. He looked at Eric's laptop under my arm. Finally, he opened the door. Victor Hale was already speaking. Based on updated forecasts, consolidation remains the financially responsible path. Claire sat near the center of the table. She saw me enter. Her eyes widened slightly. I gave her the smallest shake of my head. Don't help me. She understood. Victor didn't. He clicked to the next slide. Our projected renewal rate is 64%. Which customers are leaving? Every head turned toward me. Victor froze. Excuse me. I stepped farther into the room. You said renewal is 64%. Which customers are leaving? One board member frowned. Mr. Cole is currently under review. I know. Claire spoke calmly. He asked a relevant question. Victor glanced at her. There it was. The opening he wanted. Claire, with respect, your involvement is exactly the issue. She leaned back. Then don't answer me. She pointed toward me. Answer him. Victor looked at me. The forecast incorporates multiple risk factors. That's not a customer name. Travis. Mercy West signed. St. Vincent signed. Banner Ridge signed Friday. Which one did you remove? Silence. Victor's face tightened. I don't appreciate the accusation. Good. You'll appreciate the documentation even less. I connected Eric's laptop to the screen. Martin closed the boardroom door. I showed the original model first. Then Victor's version. Same file. Different numbers. One board member leaned forward. Who made these changes? I clicked the file history. Victor Hale. Nobody spoke. Victor stood. This is being taken out of context. Then give us the context. I was stress testing the model. By removing signed contracts. We routinely modeled downside scenarios. Then why present the downside scenario as the forecast? His jaw tightened. I moved to the next document. Meridian Solutions. The proposed outsourcing company. Then Victor's investment disclosure. A woman from the board interrupted. Victor, do you have a financial interest in Meridian? No direct interest. Direct wasn't the question. He looked toward legal. Wrong move. Everybody noticed. I put the final message on screen. If Cole's relationship with Bennett becomes the story, nobody examines the numbers. Claire read it. Her face went completely still. That was worse than anger. Victor pointed at me. You obtained private communications while under investigation. Eric was copied. An employee who reports to you. Not anymore. Remember? You tried to eliminate his job. One board member covered a cough that sounded suspiciously like a laugh. Victor turned to Claire. This is exactly why personal relationships inside executive reporting structures are unacceptable. I stepped between them. No. He looked at me. You don't get to use her now. Excuse me. This isn't about who Claire kissed. The room went dead silent. Claire closed her eyes briefly. I realized what I'd said. Well, I added, apparently we're done being subtle. Martin looked like he wanted to disappear. I continued. You falsified projections. You concealed a financial conflict. Then you used my personal life to distract from it. Victor's face reddened. You have no proof I filed that complaint. Legal finally spoke. We do. Everyone turned. The attorney placed a document on the table. Metadata from the anonymous submission traces back to an account created from Mr. Hale's corporate device. Victor sat down. That was it. Not dramatic. No shouting. No confession. Just a man realizing the room had stopped believing him. The board chair looked at Martin. Escort Mr. Hale out. Victor stared at Claire. You're choosing him over me? Claire didn't even blink. No. She glanced at the documents. You did this yourself. Security arrived 3 minutes later. Victor left without another word. Then the board chair looked at me. Mr. Cole, your administrative leave is lifted effective immediately. I nodded. Thank you. And your division? Another pause. The consolidation proposal is withdrawn. 42 jobs. Safe. This time actually safe. I walked out 20 minutes later feeling like I hadn't slept in a week. Claire followed me into the empty hallway. You kissed Claire. I turned. What? She crossed her arms. In front of the board? I panicked. You announced it like quarterly earnings. It made sense in context. It absolutely did not. I laughed. She tried not to. Failed. Then she stepped closer. You could have told me what you found. I wanted to handle it. I know. You mad? A little. Because I didn't let you help? Because you walked into a board meeting while suspended. Technically, Martin opened the door. I'm going to fire him too. You like him? I do. We smiled. Then Claire became serious. There's still a problem. What? Us. I nodded. I know. I spoke with legal. That sounds romantic. Try to survive 30 seconds without making a joke. No promises. She ignored me. Your performance reviews will move to Martin. Compensation decisions too. Any promotion involving you goes through an independent committee. You already arranged that? Yes. So you won't control my career? No. And if we date? Her eyes held mine. That will be disclosed. I understood what she was doing. Removing the excuse. Not forcing me. Not cornering me. Just making the choice mine. Claire stepped closer. I know you understand how I feel. I do. And I know you feel it too. I do. So what are you afraid of now? That question was harder. I looked through the glass wall toward the office. My last relationship ended while I was planning a future she'd already left. Claire said nothing. I know you're not Megan. Good. But this is bigger. Because I'm your CEO? Because I actually care. Her expression softened. That's a terrible reason to run. I know. Then don't. I looked at her. No misunderstanding left. No corporate excuse. No rumor. Just fear. Mine. Claire touched my hand. I'm not asking you for forever today. What are you asking? Dinner. I smiled. That's it. For tonight. And tomorrow? I'll decide whether you earned breakfast. There she is. She started walking away. Then turned. 7:30. Boss's order? Claire shook her head. No. Claire's request. Yes. I watched her go. And for the first time, I understood that saying yes to her wouldn't mean surrendering my independence. It would mean risking it beside someone who had already proven she respected it. My phone buzzed. Jason, heard you destroyed Victor in the boardroom. Drinks? I typed back. Can't. Date. His response arrived immediately. With the CEO? I smiled. With Claire. Then I grabbed my jacket and left work early. For once, I had somewhere more important to be. Dinner went well. Too well. Which, apparently, terrified me more than disaster. Claire chose a small Italian place in downtown Denver where nobody from North Star was likely to recognize us. I arrived first. She walked in 7 minutes late. You're late. I'm the CEO. That excuse works at work. She took the seat across from me. What works here? Apologizing. Claire stared at me. I waited. You're enjoying this. Immensely. She sighed. I'm sorry I'm late. Accepted. I hate dating you already. First date hasn't even started. Fourth. I blinked. What? The cabin. That wasn't a date. We cooked together. We were trapped. You made me grilled cheese. You were injured. You kissed me. That part weakens my argument. She smiled. There was no office tonight. No board. No restructuring. Just Claire. That should have made everything easier. Instead, halfway through dinner, she caught me staring at her. What? Nothing. Lie. I'm thinking. Dangerous. About us. Her fork stopped. Bad thinking. No. Then why do you look like you're preparing for impact? I leaned back. Because I'm good at solving problems. I've noticed. And this isn't one. Claire's expression softened. No. I keep looking for the risk. There are several. Very comforting. You wanted honesty. I did. She reached across the table. Her fingers touched mine. Travis, we could date for 3 months and hate each other. Possible. You could discover I'm impossible. Already discovered that. She kicked me under the table. Ow. Continue. I laughed. Or it could work. Yes. That possibility scares me more. Claire looked at me for a long moment. Then she said, Good. Good. It scares me too. That surprised me. You don't act scared. I run companies. I've gotten very good at acting like I know what happens next. And you don't. Not with you. That might have been the most vulnerable thing she'd said since we met. So I squeezed her hand. Then we can be idiots together. Romantic. I have range. After dinner, I walked her to her SUV. She leaned against the door. Come home with me. I smiled. Direct. I told you I don't always like easy. That sounds like the opposite of what you're asking. You know what I mean. I did. And I wanted to. But I shook my head. Not tonight. Claire searched my face. Work? No. Fear? A little. She nodded. No anger. No pressure. Okay. I kissed her. I'm not rejecting you. I know. I just want to do this right. So do I. That mattered. 3 weeks passed. We disclosed the relationship. HR produced enough paperwork to qualify as a minor novel. Martin became my official supervisor. Jason became unbearable. Every morning started with some variation of, "How's our fearless leader?" "She's not your girlfriend, Jason." "Exactly. So I'm asking the guy with access. You're going to get fired. Not if you protect me." I literally went through an investigation to establish that I can't do that. Things settled. Claire and I didn't hide. We also didn't perform. Some nights we ate together. Some nights she worked until 10. Some nights I did. We argued twice. Once about her answering emails during dinner. Once because I tried to pay for a weekend hotel she had already booked. "I can afford half." "I know." "Then let me pay half." "I invited you." "That's not the point." "What is the point?" "I don't want to become an accessory to your life." She stared at me, then canceled the suite and booked a normal room. "You happy?" "Extremely." "You're exhausting." "You like me?" "Unfortunately." I kissed her. Problem solved. Then February brought another storm. Not as bad as the first, but enough for weather alerts to hit every phone in the office. I was packing up when Martin stopped beside my desk. "Claire left." "Left for where?" "Mountains." I frowned. "In this weather?" "She said she needed a weekend." Something clicked. "Did she say which cabin?" Martin looked confused. "What cabin?" I was already grabbing my coat. I called Claire. No answer. I texted. Nothing. 20 minutes later, I was heading west. The roads were still open. Barely. And this time, unlike the first storm, I knew exactly where I was going. The cabin appeared just after 7. Claire's SUV was outside. I parked beside it. When I knocked, she opened the door wearing a familiar gray sweater. She stared at me. "Travis." "Hi. What are you doing here?" "Excellent welcome. You drove into a snowstorm." "Technically, it's not a snowstorm yet. It's under a winter storm warning." "Details." She stepped aside. I walked in. Same couch. Same fireplace. Same terrible coffee maker. Claire closed the door. "How did you know?" Martin said mountains. "That could mean anywhere." "I know you." Her face changed slightly. "Why are you here?" I pulled something from my coat pocket. My glove. The one she had stolen. Her eyes dropped to it. "You brought that?" "Yeah." "Why?" "Because last time, you took it so I'd have a reason to see you again." Claire said nothing. I stepped closer. This time I didn't need a reason. Her eyes lifted to mine. "Travis, I've spent weeks trying to make sure I'm not choosing you because we got trapped together. Or because you're exciting. Or because you're my boss. And I'm choosing you because I know what you're like when nobody's watching." She swallowed. I continued. "You're bossy. Careful. Impatient. Travis. Terrible at asking for help. Are you trying to get thrown outside? And you care more than you want people to know." That stopped her. "You helped Walter and Ruth without thinking. You respected me when I told you not to save my job. You stepped back when I needed to fight for myself." I took her hand. "So I'm done treating this like something I need to protect myself from." Claire stared at our hands. "What exactly are you saying?" "I'm saying I want this." Her eyes met mine. "Us." "Yes." "For real." "Claire, I drove through a winter storm. Please don't make me give a PowerPoint." She laughed, then grabbed my jacket and kissed me. I wrapped my arms around her. When we finally separated, she was smiling. "So," she said, "you're staying?" "That depends." Her eyebrow rose. "On. Who gets the bed?" Claire laughed again. "You're still on the couch." "Absolutely not." "Company policy." "This isn't the company." "Cabin policy." "You just invented that." "Prove it." 6 months later, Claire knocked twice on my office door. I looked up. She stayed in the doorway. Professional distance. Mostly. "Dinner." I saved my work. "Boss's order?" "No." "CEO directive?" "No." I grabbed my jacket and walked toward her. "Girlfriend's request?" Claire smiled. "That one." I took her hand once we were past the office doors. "Then yes." She glanced at me. "Miss me?" It was the same question she'd asked the morning she walked into North Star and turned my entire life upside down. This time, I didn't need even a second to answer. "Every damn day."